Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.
It's back to the 80s for Disney Plus Hotstar's latest Indian original series, Dil Bekaraar, a 10-episode adaptation of Anuja Chauhan's best-selling book, Those Pricey Thakur Girls. I haven't read the book, which has been compared to an Indianized Pride and Prejudice, but it seems like a great story to adapt into a fun, frothy, breezy show. And for the most part, Dil Bekaraar is just that. In an Indian streaming landscape dominated by thrillers and intensity and gangsters and murder and crime, it's so refreshing to get such a sweet, wholesome watch. From writers Suhani Kanwar and Ruchika Roy and director Habib Faisal, Dil Bekaraar is part sitcom, part romcom, part light family drama and full of heart. It's a nostalgia-fueled, simple story that looks to transport us back to a simpler time. Set in high society Delhi in the late 80s, the show follows the goings-on within the Thakur family. The series is primarily a romcom between TV news anchor Debjani Thakur, played by Seher Bamba, and Dylan Singh Shekhawat, played by Akshay Oberoi, an idealistic fight the power, get the truth at all costs journalist. Dil Bekaraar follows their love story along with the domestic and romantic lives of the rest of the Thakur family, made up of Debjani's parents and her 4 sisters. But it's the central Debjani and Dylan will they won't they, but of course they totally will, love track that's easily the best thing on offer here, led by 2 acutely charming performances. There's the deeply endearing Seher Bamba, who we saw earlier this year with her scene-stealing presence in a brief supporting role in Disney Plus Hotstar series Empire. And she's wonderful here as the wide-eyed, wet behind the ears news anchor navigating matters of the heart, who you can't help but fall for. As is the always impressive Akshay Oberoi as Dylan, the almost arrogantly honest journalist who proves to be the perfect romantic foil for Debjani. It's also great to see Akshay finally getting his due with leading roles such as this. Equally enjoyable is the high school boy drama of Debjani's spunky younger sister Ishwari, played by a delightfully charismatic Medha Shankar. Easily my favorite character, she's singularly responsible for most of the show's funniest moments. It's also so wonderful to see a rom-com where, for once, the female characters are the protagonists leading the story. More of that, please. Dil Bekaraar owes much of its many wins to the crackling, energetic dialogue from Kunal Aneja and Habib Faisal, which flits between Hindi and English and offers plenty of genuinely laugh-out-loud moments. What makes less of a mark, however, is the family drama side of the show and some of the more dramatic arcs, which is where Dil Bekaraar has a bit of a tonality issue in how it balances the humor and sparkling sweetness with the serious. For example, an increasingly big part of the narrative is about Dylan taking on and investigating the culprits of the Bhopal gas tragedy. While it is engaging and sensitively handled, it just feels out of place, like a rom-com biting off more than it can chew. There's also a whole track featuring the marital issues between Debjani's adulterous uncle and his resentful wife, which feels shrill and adds nothing to the show and feels like it belongs in a Saas Bahu daily soap somewhere. Ironic, considering the book the show is based on has been adapted before, back in 2013, as a 150-episode TV series called Dilli Wali Thakur Girls, which is where this track should have remained. Like this, it feels like the writers have tried to squeeze in as many subplots and tracks from the book as possible, rather than having fewer, more focused character arcs. Similarly, not all the Thakur sisters are handled with the same care. The older Anjani Thakur feels underwritten and really isn't very easy to sympathize with. For one, she wants to have a baby just to bring the spark back into a marriage. Always a great reason to have a child. But not just that, despite both her and her husband being perfectly healthy on paper, with zero issues conceiving, Anjani is hell-bent on having a baby through the extensive and expensive procedure of IVF. Because, and I quote, she's never done anything extraordinary. If that isn't rich people problems, I don't know what is. I want to do something different, she says, to which her husband very rightfully responds, so then change your hair color. I also wish the storytelling of Dil Bekaraar was more specific. It doesn't have the playful pulpiness or the feel-good frothy fizziness of Khoobsurat. Nor does the writing have the specificity or sweetness of Sony Liv's excellent family drama Good Luck. And even that show, for all its wonderfully warm achievements, limits itself to 5 episodes, whereas this show goes on for an unnecessary 10. So, of course, there are times where the narrative slackens. There's a funny scene halfway through Dil Bekaraar where journalist Dylan is meeting a potential source in a restaurant who literally tells him that he should focus on getting the girl and matters of the heart rather than chasing the heavy stuff of dirty politicians and corruption and cover-ups. I just wish the writers of the show heeded the same advice in adapting the book. Still, despite this narrative nitpicking, at its best, Dil Bekaraar is a refreshing and enjoyable assault of feels and smiles, warmth and wit, and we need more like it. You can watch it on Disney Plus Hotstar.